Welcome to part 2 of, on a scale of 1 to 10, approximately how screwed are legacy automotive manufacturers when Tesla drops their next generation vehicle. A teardown expert, chatting to the folks on Autoline Network. I think you know how this one ends, but still worth watching.
Our team, we have we're an engineering company first. We have around 2,300 engineers. We have a lot of experts, and we happen to do benchmarking. So we are kind of saying this is what we think is going to happen. It's up to the OEM once they work with us and buy all the data, and we work with them in not only just the data, but the consultative mode and engineering mode. It's up to them to. I tell CTOs openly. I said, look, this is what we have made this work virtually. Next step for you to, and a lot of our customers, they have $2, $3, $5 billion R&D budgets, and what I tell them is, look, you're spending so much money doing this, more of the same here. Why don't you look at this new work? Build 10 or 15 mules, cars, prototype cars. Go test it out on your track. How does it handle? How does it do crash? How does it do? If Tesla has announced it in Investors Day, and you want to catch up, like Elon Musk has done something phenomenal, right? He gave the 48-volt architecture to other companies. Jim Farley tweeted that, put it on X platform now, and so on and so forth. So really, look, I'm an engineer. What is R&D? It's about innovation. What is innovation? It's about trying things that you don't know.
Oh, I thought it was about figuring out how to put a new cup holder in next generation vehicles and then spending all of your R&D budget on marketing and advertising to trick consumers into thinking that your 2024 vehicle with a new cup holder is a revolution and worth upgrading to. Now, we'll note already some of the earlier comments there we were hearing Matthew mentioning in some of his discussions with automotive manufacturers that a lot of them are spending their R&D budget doing the exact same shit. And some recent examples would include Toyota in 2024 announcing that they're investing a pile of money developing a new internal combustion engine in 2024. I'm not kidding. And regarding the comments about Tesla and the 48-volt architecture in the Cybertruck, in case you guys missed it, Tesla literally sent all of the world's automotive manufacturers here's how to do 48-volt architecture in your vehicles. Bitches, document. They literally did everyone's homework for them and said, here's how to do it. Please copy our homework. It's in the best interest of the entire industry. I mean, this actually happened. Tesla really trying to drive the entire industry forward. Really trying to be helpful. Not surprising, of course. Literally a decade ago, 2014, Tesla open sourced all their patents. Said you can use these in good faith. We won't sue you. Here's how to build our vehicles, everything. It's all here. Go for it. The world needs electric vehicles. Most automotive manufacturers entirely ignore this, except those with brains who almost exclusively happen to be located in China. And funnily enough, a decade later, the Chinese EV industry is thriving. But there's a real tension at legacy automotive manufacturers between doing the same shit they've always done, which is going to lead them to bankruptcy, and actually innovating.
So this is one more experiment. And if you have an R&D budget of $3 or $4 billion, hey, take this. We have given you, we think we have the cookbook, the recipe for this new way. Build it, try it. And what do you have to lose? It's another experiment. If it works, you're going to save 30%. You're going to save, on one plant, you're going to save $300 million. Is the risk, what's the risk and what's the reward? It's huge. Then traditional automakers are risk averse. They don't want.
Oh, what a great, accurate statement. Traditional automakers are extremely risk averse, and it is worth pointing out that, the biggest risk of all, in most cases, is being unwilling to take risks, is being risk averse. And this is not a statement of hyperbole, but of fact. You ever met anyone who was petrified of investing? Oh no, what if it goes wrong? What if my investment doesn't work out? You know what they do instead? If you're lucky, their crippling fear of taking any risks at all causes them to be extremely conservative to the point where they just save, and their savings get eroded due to inflation. They end up worse off, in a worse position, because they were too much of a pussy to take what they perceived as a risk. And in related matters, it's a good thing that some of your ancestors were willing to take some risks. Otherwise, none of you turds would be alive to watch this video. And I do say turds endearingly. I love you guys. I hope you understand my point. Those who are petrified of taking any risks because of the possibility of failure are almost certainly doomed to fail. This applies as much in our personal lives as it does in the corporate world. Remember, if you're a company and you're unwilling to disrupt yourself, someone as in a company most certainly will come along and do it for you. Shout out to Blockbuster, Kodak, and now the world's legacy automotive manufacturers. Just a few examples among countless.
They don't want to take the risk because I was with one legacy OEM, and the head of manufacturing told me this will not work. After 1 hour, I just walked out of the meeting and I said, look, they're risk averse. And that's the reason why this individual is not a leader in the industry, because he's a follower.
But I think that part of the reason they're risk averse is what I was trying to ask, is that it's and it's a question, not a statement. The question is, does moving to the process that you're modeling, that you've
figured out, yeah.
Does that basically, do I then have to go to Wall Street at the next quarter and say, well, I've just written off $2 billion in.
Now I see where this question is going, and it is a valid question, and there's probably some truth in it. There's leaders. A good example would be Elon Musk. And there's frauds posing as leaders in CEO roles running a lot of companies, especially legacy automotive companies around the world. Leaders have courage. Leaders take risks. Leaders are willing to fail publicly, and leaders do what is necessary, irrespective of how they are perceived by the public, by investors, by anyone. Leaders have balls and courage, as opposed to frauds pretending to be leaders who are petrified of any negative coverage, press, perceptions about themselves and their abilities, petrified of any public failure, petrified of taking risks because what if it doesn't work out? People might point and laugh, and I'm too much of a fucking pussy to handle that, so I'm going to do things that are not in the best interest of our company and its long-term survival because I'm a gigantic bitch. I harbour a possibly cynical suspicion that the majority of executives and leaders, so to speak, of legacy automotive companies today, deep down probably know the companies are fucked, but they also probably know that in 3, 4, 5 years, when they get shit canned for being incompetent and dooming their companies to an inevitable bankruptcy, they will be paid literally tens of millions of dollars to get the fuck out of there in the form of a golden parachute, because believe it or not, as horrible as this reality is, it's actually an extremely savvy financial move for companies to pay incompetent CEOs to fuck off, even if they get paid out tens of millions of dollars for being incompetent, as opposed to keeping them there and allowing them to do hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of additional damage. It sucks that incompetence is so richly rewarded, but unfortunately, this is the way things are. And I think deep down, many of these leaders, using the term loosely because they're pathetic and they're not leaders at all, they're followers, know this is around the corner and they're just looking out for themselves. Whatever. I'll just pump things over the short term, keep the stock price up as much as possible, pay out some dividends. I know the company's fucked, but I'm going to be gone soon and get tens of millions of dollars to piss off anyway, so why would I care? Of course, that is a very cynical view of the world, but I do find it hard to believe that people with big enough brains to somehow manage to be leading these companies in the first place can't see the writing on the wall. I think a lot of them are just looking out for themselves personally as opposed to the company they're supposedly leading. It's pathetic.
And sunk investment because we're going to go to an entirely different assembly approach. I guess I'm trying to figure out if that's an obstacle that they have to overcome.
Okay, so let me ask you a flip question, Joe, as a businessman. Okay, I am a legacy OEM. Okay, I'm building a car, and you, Tesla, comes out with this new approach and have reduced your manufacturing time 30% and your plant investment. You're coming to the market. Do I start losing share? Okay, so as an OEM, I have to make a decision and say there is this threat out there. Now, we have done this for a greenfield. We have now that we'll be finishing in fact, I'm on Wall Street next month to present to a bunch of investors on this approach. The question that comes out, the question that I would ask is, after we finish this one, we are then going to work to come up with a solution, if we can come up with a solution for a brownfield. And there are always, if you're working with a clean slate of paper, greenfield, it's a no-brainer. But when it's a brownfield, there are compromises we'll have to make. Okay, how do we modify the paint shop? How do we do general assembly? How do we modify those? If we take the robots out, can we repurpose them? All these we are working on it. We don't have a solution yet. I can tell you 100% confidence. We're 100% confident in the greenfield. Excuse me. And a couple of our customers who are early adopters, they are very eager to work with us and so on. They have bought into our analysis. They feel we are on the right path.
So is it possible for a company that,
Just for the record, in case anyone is unaware, it's probably a lot of you actually, A greenfield site is an area typically outside of a city in a rural sort of country type of area where land's pretty affordable, lots of space, not an urban situation. Great setting for building a brand new factory from the ground up with no constraints. A brownfield, typically a site located in an urban area, previously built on not completely clean sheet design, and you have some more constraints in terms of space, real estate costs, and so on. For example, the Austin Gigafactory, greenfield, a little bit outside the city of Austin where there's a fuckload of land. The site is absolutely enormous. Fremont, brownfield, existing facility in Fremont, California, in an urban area, very constrained.
Joe said they got lots of equipment and it's sitting there and it's building cars and they don't want to throw it away because it's still, the stamping press is still stamped very well and the welding machines weld very well. And so they want to keep this. But is it conceivable that they could take your model and just do a small pilot project to determine its feasibility and then extend it from there?
Sure, I think that's possible. Or the other thing is we are discussing with two OEMs. One is planning to use it for one of their low volume production, luxury marks. Okay. So they are not planning to use it on their main one, which is around 250,000 units. They are planning to try this out. First, they're planning to build prototypes, but they're going to use it on a product that sells around 50 to 75,000 units.
Some people would suggest, oh, that's a smart move. Why don't you try it out on an extremely low volume vehicle first, right? Makes sense. But if a modular manufacturing system actually works and will reduce your costs by around 30%, delaying its implementation on your higher volume vehicles to me sounds a little crazy unless, of course, you don't have a great deal of confidence in your ability to pull it off. See, the thing is, the automotive industry right now, companies are facing their demise. It's existential. Losing 12, 18 plus months trying out a new manufacturing system when a company like Tesla's already announced their next-gen vehicle on this system, it's begging to go bankrupt. Now, of course, the counter-argument would be, well, if it fucks up and it doesn't work out, better not to try it on a high-volume vehicle and it fail. And I get it, if you're expecting failure, then sure. But if you're expecting failure and you're unwilling to take the risk, you're absolutely bound to actually fail and go bankrupt. Tesla has literally announced to the world at Investor Day, next-gen vehicle, modular manufacturing system, significantly faster and cheaper to produce, looking for a $25,000 starting price on our next-gen electric vehicle, look out. And companies that don't copy Tesla's manufacturing system and drive their cost to produce down by an equivalent amount, their time to manufacture down by an equivalent amount, will not have competitive vehicles. But here's the thing, they already don't have competitive vehicles because Tesla already has a massive cost advantage. So Tesla's already tens of percent in terms of cost to produce cheaper than anyone else on the planet for electric vehicles. Even the Chinese automotive manufacturers that are making some money on EVs, it's nowhere near as much as Tesla. And that's this generation. Next generation is going to be a massive leap forward again. Due to the existential nature of this issue, this predicament, these legacy automotive companies need to take outsized risks. Otherwise, they are absolutely out of business. They can't afford to be conservative and risk averse. They must be bold and courageous here or they're toast. So this is a great example of the pussification and the risk aversion of these legacy auto companies. Even a company willing to attempt to implement this modular manufacturing system, unwilling to do it on a high volume vehicle. They're almost expecting it to fail. They're doomed.
So it's assuaging. It's making sure you are able to balance the risk. There will be a lot of learning. Nobody has done this before. All what we are helping the OEMs with, or our customers, those who are interested in this, is we're helping them saying, hey, this is coming. This is instead of being surprised 2 years from now when Tesla launches, or a year from now, or 2 years from now when Tesla launches the Model 2. Hey, this is what worst comes to worst. Let's say I know we will be at least 80%. Worst comes to worst. This is one more R&D experiment you tried. And as organizations, we learn. If you're not willing to learn, if everything is bulletproof, that means you're not taking enough risk.
So not only
if you knew everything, there's no risk involved. Then where is the innovation?
But not only learning, there has to be the unlearning because they say we've done it this way for X amount of time.
Yeah, that's been a big issue in some meetings, especially where the head of manufacturing is so convinced that their way of working, and they Joe, I'm sorry to say this, they immediately harp on all the reasons why it cannot be done. I have equipment, I have to write that off. No, please, look at it this way. This is a new innovation. that when gigacasting came out, people said it would not work. Now many people are adopting it. The question is, and then one other reason, Joe, this is a very important reason. When you look at the valuation of several of the automotive companies, stock valuation, there are some companies, if you take out the cash, I also happen to be an MBA, okay? You take out the cash in their balance sheet, their value is very minimal. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The question today that the market is asking is not whether the company will survive the next 3 years. Will the company survive the next 10 years?
Indeed, and the answer to that question for most of today's legacy automotive manufacturers is an emphatic fuck no. Of course, I don't know this. It's impossible to know. I just say it unequivocally so that when I'm right, I can clip myself saying it emphatically, just to show the extremely high level of confidence I had with these current predictions. These companies are just moving too slow. They're petrified of taking risks. And as I said, the biggest risk of all is being unwilling to take any risks. They're so far behind. Their culture is toxic to innovation. Their brains are so tiny, they don't understand how quickly EVs are happening. They don't understand the cost declines. We're hearing comments from a lot of these legacy companies today. They're slowing down their EV plans. They think hybrids are the way of the future. They're scaling back. I mean, as I said, it's urgent. It's an emergency. It's existential. These companies need to be taking urgent outsized risks. Otherwise, they are absolutely done for.
Okay. And if you're so risk averse that you're not willing to make the jump and even experiment, and where everybody is trying different things and so on, then that only reinforces the belief of the investors that you're not going to survive in 10 years.
Here's
John,
my
you go
question, though. Yeah, I love this idea of constant innovation, constant change. You know, you've talked about the first version of the Model 3, and then how it's evolved, the Model Y even more, and so forth. But how do you justify writing off all the sunk cost that's in there before you've recouped that investment? So, you know, Tesla had tooled up all the stamping dies and the welding equipment and all that. If it's going to be doing these changes literally within months, not waiting for a full model cycle or even half a model cycle, it seems to me you're just going to be burning up capital. You're not going to get a return on that capital. You're already introducing something new. And even though that new way of doing it is cheaper to do, you still haven't paid for the capital that you've already put into the program.
Okay. So, John, I think, so I can talk a little bit about what we understand from Tesla, because we have bought Tesla Ys in China. We bought Tesla Ys in the US from Austin, and we bought a Tesla Y from Fremont. We bought a Tesla Y from Berlin. It's very difficult to figure out which plant, but pretty soon we can figure out. So when they set up, say, Shanghai does not have a gigacasting. They're still using that. It's Austin that has a gigacasting. So it's
they're waiting for a greenfield plant to introduce these.
well. What we can kind of understand is that I think a lot of the engineering is in Fremont. If you see, like, I think even though there's a new plant in Austin, a lot of the engineering is still done in California. So a lot of the experimentation we think is done in Fremont, which is an old NUMMI plant. And my first new car in the US was from the NUMMI plant, because and I wanted an American car, so I bought a Chevy Prism. Bought a Geo Prism.
Well, you say an American car. The only thing American on it was the Chevrolet badge. Everything else was from Toyota.
It was built in America.
It was a Corolla.
Well,
right.
Just to bring this up, I was with Joe at on the conference today. A lot of the industry in Detroit or around the world, especially it's like Tesla is kind of a villain. No, absolutely not. Tesla is an American company. Okay, I just want to. I'm an American. I've become an American citizen. I'm an immigrant to this country. We've got to be proud. It's an American company.
But Elon bad. Didn't you hear that Elon bad and therefore Tesla bad? Rocket Man bad, Spaceship Man bad, billionaire bad, Elon biggest billionaire, therefore biggest bad. If I didn't know any better, I'd think that Matthew here doesn't watch the hate stream media and actually thinks for himself.
It's leading the automotive industry. So we should be very proud instead of vilifying that company.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Okay. So now just imagine if Tesla was in some other part of the world.
It would be called BYD, and it would be viewed as a threat. I think we know the answer to that question.
Yeah. But the point is, Tesla is an American company, so they're at the forefront of innovation. And I'll just tell you one other thing. Even this morning, I use WeChat with my Chinese customer. The top benchmarked company, even for the Chinese, is still Tesla. Okay,
It's still Tesla.
It's still Tesla. Before COVID, they would ask us about other companies, other OEMs. Today, the Chinese don't even bother. They are interested in Tesla or the.
Well, that's unsurprising. Tesla, the gold standard, the benchmark, the bar with which every other company with any brains measures themselves. Oh, and just a side note, it was well under a year ago, maybe 6 months, that Toyota first tore down a Model Y and then called it a work of art. That's how fucking dumb this company is. How long's the Model Y been out for? Years. Toyota's so stupid, they did not even realize the innovations taking place in Tesla's manufacturing with their vehicles. They were literally years late to the party and even tearing down a Model Y, whereas the intelligent Chinese EV manufacturers, oh no, Tesla's the leader. Let's see what they're doing. And Toyota today, the world's largest automotive manufacturer by units sold per year. Morons.
Themselves.
Right, not Volkswagen, not GM.
They don't. They feel they are far ahead of the others, and so on. And they say, "Hey, we are much better than them." So we want to know. You only learn from people who are better than you. You don't learn.
Well, things have changed too, right? I mean, in the sense that the Germans have always been known for their body structure, their powertrain, their ride and handling. To the Chinese customer, that doesn't really matter. You know, they're stuck in stop and go traffic all the time. Connectivity, infotainment, the latest electronics. That's what counts now.
Yes, technology integration, voice integration, voice commands. They're bringing in the technology piece is huge for the Chinese. And then styling. So, for example, we talked about a lot of things that Tesla is doing well. So one of the things is they have not changed the external body style. That's been a big detriment to them in China, because for China, having a car is, in some cases, when it's your first car, it's just to state that you have arrived. And so if you had a car and 3 years later you bought a new car, if it's the same shape, if I bought a car and 3 years later it's the same shape, you don't know that I bought a new car. Part of the reason, I really don't care about the car I drive. I'm not that type of
You
guy.
bought a Prism, it says it all.
This was when I was a poor student.
Right.
Poor student with my first job. But today I don't have a car. I drive a different car every week because I'm always benchmarked.
Can I ask a question? So I want to. You've talked a lot about sort of the resistance from kind of the heads of manufacturing that you present to, but
there's some who are totally. There are some. Let me get just clear. There is some of the heads of manufacturing is, hey, this is awesome. I need to know everything about it because this is huge. 30%, I can take 30% less people. So you meet all types of people in this.
So and you mentioned people, but I'm going to let Gary ask about that. But I'll ask this question, which is where I was headed. It does, though. It's not just the manufacturing part of the house that has to change. You have the engineering side of the house has to change to design. To design the vehicle so that it can be used gigacasting, so that it can, right? I mean, so you're really talking about a fundamental change, not just in the manufacturing process part of the operation, backing up into the vehicle engineering and vehicle design and validation and all that stuff, right? It's pretty significant.
In management.
Well, right.
To allow this to happen.
Sure. So one thing, the product at the beginning is at the top of the food chain. Unless you change it in the design and engineering, manufacturing cannot come back and make any reap of these benefits. So definitely it has to be bought in. And what we are kind of, as we say, benchmarking is very interesting because it's kind of detective work. It's trying to figure things out. And what we see from all this, especially with all the trends, is that there's a heavy level of integration between design, engineering, manufacturing, and automation in each zone of the vehicle. So I'll just give you an example. When Tesla is one of the first companies that came out with the central computer zonal architecture for electrical electronics, what did they do? The whole powertrain controllers was built by one tier one. The steering was somebody else. The brake was somebody else. So Tesla was one of the people to say, hey, why do we have all these separate controllers? Let's integrate them and have zonal controllers and a central compute and a power distribution center. So by going and looking at this integrated in an area of the car, they were able to reduce cost, just in harnesses, for example, from the X to the...
Just remember, as Musk said years ago, the best part is no part, and the best process is no process. When we hear about integration, simplification, it's exactly what's happening. At every level every aspect, every layer of Tesla's products, even the business, the organization, the structure itself. They're constantly deleting parts and processes, simplifying, streamlining, integrating, combining, innovating, as opposed to doing the exact same shit they've always done, which is the modus operandi of everyone else.
Y, X to the Y, they reduce the harness cost to $550 or so. Okay. Same way, when you look at the way Tesla is evolving, and the Chinese, you heard about the Xiaopeng G6, which Volkswagen invested in. They're pretty much a very, very fast follower of Tesla. It took the modular, they built the giga castings, no floor, everything very, very quickly, and they did it in a phenomenal 18 months. Phenomenal. Okay. So same way. So what they did in the electrical electronics architecture is what we think they're doing on the vehicle, on the mechanical and structural components, but they're doing that by integrating design, engineering, looking at the manufacturing automation. How do we bring all this together to take cost out, reduce the number of parts, increase the modularity, reduce the labor, and so on. And that's what we think they're doing. And even in the engineering functions. So, for example, traditional companies have a body group, a chassis group, electrical group, a thermal management group, and so on. So if you look at the front thermal management module of the Tesla, you have body group there, you have the thermal management group, you have electrical group because the battery is there, you have chassis because the accumulator is there. They got everybody to work together. That does not usually happen in traditional OEMs.
So they're optimizing all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they're approaching vehicle design from a total system standpoint,
Yes.
not from discrete components or silos within the company.
So you remember earlier we talked about scale. Before, the whole point was, hey, let's make component and let's put it on all our 10 million vehicles or 5 million vehicles. Now you want to optimize it for that vehicle, and you're trying to make sure that the vehicles are reduce waste, reduce cost, and it's integrated and so on. So I'm not saying scale is bad. You're trying to use components, but as much you want to optimize the vehicle more than just a part. So it's vehicle level optimization, system level optimization, not part optimization.
So let me change this a little bit. We've been talking almost entirely about engineering, and we have some viewers who are consumers. And it seems to me that a consumer hearing about things changing very quickly, about things being done very fast, might make them think, what is the quality, reliability, and durability of these things that are being done fast versus those things that have been made in the traditional way for years and years and years? I mean, do you measure that? Can you make a determination of that?
So I'll answer the first question as an employee of CareSoft, and then I can answer this as an individual. Okay. So we do not do quality, durability, or reliability testing on any of this. We are looking at the design and so on and so forth. Okay, that's all. So from a standpoint of the other things, I don't know. We don't know. If we start doing that, we will need a lot more money to do it, and we don't know what the data we have. We need a way to use this data and monetize it. Now, from a personal standpoint, I'd look at it and say, hey, every vehicle, again from an engineering perspective, not as an employee of CareSoft, is any engineer who has done this, they would have virtually validated it, they would have physically tested it, and so on and so forth. There are companies that have recalls in spite of all their processes and everything. And so if I just take the Tesla Y, they just sold more than 1 million units last year.
Exactly. Now, it's true, there's probably some consumers out there, oh my God, it's new. How do I know that it's reliable? And I get that. The laggards. But guess what? Model Y, literally the world's best-selling vehicle last year, about 1.25 million units. Even if there are some consumers who are uncertain, things are changing fast, or what if it's not reliable, etc. Clearly, if it's the world's best-selling vehicle, these consumers are not meaningful enough to be holding the product back. So while it's a fair observation, there's some people who think like this. In the scheme of things, they don't really move the needle.
So obviously the team has done their testing and so on and so forth. And that's why the car was able to sell 1 million units and so on. So we don't do that, Gary, but the comfort level would be and also it's like this, right? Anytime you make a change, there is a risk. So for example, sometimes I get an update on my iPhone, and 24 hours later, there's a new update because something doesn't work. So there is no free lunch. If you want a new feature, yes, there is something. So if I get if I switch to a new phone, let's say a new phone comes. So for example, recently I was last week at CES and had dinner with a Chinese customer. and he showed me the new Huawei phone. And I tell you, if it was available here in the US, I'd switch to it immediately. It was fantastic. He showed me the photos from his phone. It converted to a tablet. It was phenomenal. Now, if I make the change, I have to learn new things because it's a different operating system. And I don't think it's available in the US.
No, I don't think so.
Huawei is banned from the US pretty much.
Yeah. So my point is, I was very, very impressed. The point I was making is anytime you make a change, there is risk, there's learning, and that's why, for me, change is the only constant.
But Matthew, don't you think it's new technology has enabled this as well? So, backstory. Everybody in the auto industry learned the Toyota production, which preached consistency above everything else. If you want to get to Six Sigma, which as you know is probably the ultimate that you can bring any manufacturing process, Six Sigma statistically, you don't change anything. You get really, really good at building it. You slowly work all the bugs out of it. And so what Toyota preached was that change brings variability. Variability brings quality problem.
By the way, true in terms of the Toyota philosophy. I've actually read a couple of books learning about the Toyota way, lean design and so on. And what was once a strength of Toyota in an industry that had no fucking change for a century in the automotive industry was perfectly fine until a disruptor came along, Tesla, and upended everything. Now, Toyota's desperate need to cling on to what they've always been doing. No change. It's going to be their ultimate downfall. Super fascinating insights. Again, if you want to watch this full thing, there's a link in the description. A couple of years from now, when Tesla's first deliveries for the next-gen vehicle have taken place and they're scaling up, and not long after that becomes the world's best-selling vehicle, and then it's not just doing over 1 million units per year, but then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus on that one platform with maybe just a couple of variations. Companies like Toyota, who very recently said that they think that electric vehicles will never make up more than 30% of all new vehicles sold, suddenly see Tesla, the company, selling 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then 10 million units per year, and Toyota sales collapse from 11 million per year to 8, 9, then 5, 4, 3. They'll have no one to blame but themselves. The writing was on the wall and they simply chose to ignore it for an entire decade. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy. Wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links at the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.